Yes, and the way his father had constructed the window outside, the extended window, outside the back wall of the house without Willie's knowing. And had then said, we've got a surprise for you, we've got to take this wall down, and taken the wall down, and the room was there, to make it that much more into the wider world for Willie, with the angling of the windows, and there are bits of mirror pane as well to extend it.
Yes.
A man of imagination.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And there were some amazing stories about him, but I'm not here to tell you stories about John Soutar. But there was the time when he went to buy a Rolls Royce.
A Rolls Royce?
Oh yes, his second Rolls Royce, or maybe his third Rolls Royce.
Oh,
and
right.
he had a Rolls Royce, and Grassix, the garage, had one in the window that he rather fancied. And he went in to try it, and they said, "Oh, get into it, Mr. Soutar. Feel how it feels to be in it. Sit in the driver's seat." He sat in the driver's seat. He put his foot down and unfortunately hit the accelerator rather than anything else, and it went through the plate glass window. So he was a little abashed by that. But you know, he was the sort of man who then sorted out the situation and made amends. I don't know if he actually bought that car, but he certainly paid for a new plate glass window.
That's fantastic.
But oh no, he was lovely, and
obviously did so much to promote the work
and to keep
outside,
the memory
and to keep
alive.
that.
Yes. And I mean, I can still remember the sitting in the theatre for the rehearsal for the 1958 concert, and Dinna Gang the Night being said by a really good speaker, can't remember whom now, and the it just crept up my spine as I sat alone in the theatre with that.
I heard a story that Willie Soutar had played fiddle, and I'm interested. There was a concert to mark.
Well, it was mainly a poetry reading, but singing of some of the Francis George Scott settings of the poetry as well. It was a full occasion in Perth Theatre, and the theatre was full.
How fabulous!
Yes, it was a great occasion. I can't remember the exact timing. It was probably an afternoon, but I'm sure that somewhere there is a programme that will record the exact details. But it was a fantastic occasion. There was a weekend of celebrations around the time that the plaque went up at the house in Wilson Street.
And did you know Evelyn?
No, I didn't. She was someone I knew of rather than knew. So, no, it was John that we knew.
Right.
It was John that we knew, and Alec Galloway. That was the particular connection. It was definitely the poetry connection, and of course McDiarmid, Chris Grieve, because my father had made the connection with Chris Grieve during the 1930s and had actually visited him in Shetland a couple of times.
So the thing that you were very aware of was this whole stushy around.
I was aware of the stushy.
The argument with
yes. I don't think anyone fully resolved that, whether it was that Dacres, the publishers, had made a commitment to publish the other poems as another volume, the ones that had already been printed, or what, but it obviously was never fully resolved. It was very obvious from the way the personal relationships were conducted in 1958 when Chris Grieve was there for the celebrations that there was no long-standing animosity of any sort between John Soutar and Chris. But I don't think anyone will ever really know exactly what the background there was. I was fascinated when there was this year's Soutar talk looking at the correspondence about the way phrases that came from one side of the correspondence reappeared in the writing of the other side, in that phrases that Willie had used writing to Chris appeared in Chris's introduction to the poems, because that's the kind of thing that often happens, that a good phrase passes from one person to another because someone with a good poetic ear hears it and it registers.